Hi guys, Carcer back again with another quick game of Battlefleet Gothic Armada 2 from seemingly never-ending competitive Season 4. Obviously we are going to be playing the Orcs as usual, and this time we are facing off against the Adeptus Mechanicus, who are being piloted by Cahir Maur Diffrin A. Is that Welsh? I think it's maybe Welsh. Perhaps he lives in Llanfair Plisgwyn Goga Shandrobe Shantisiu Gogogoch. Who can say? So the map we've got, it's a spread out spread out capture points. Thankfully, Admech ships aren't super quick, so I don't really have to worry about playing the kitey cap game. Although I do have to worry about Nova Cannons, as always. So I'm just going to spread out my escorts. We just have a couple of escorts capturing the nearest points. I don't want to bunch anything together too much. But I might send a group of escorts up into his face to try and distract him. I mean, he's almost certainly going to be over in the top right hand corner, with my guess. Try and catch, to be nearby to the greatest concentration of points. He's going to assume that I'm going to do the same. Yep, indeed he is. So it looks like, what, 4 ships bunched up and a 5th. So probably going to be, what, 4 cruisers. No, oh no, can he fit that? No, 3 cruisers, 1 LC in the Arc Mechanicus maybe, or possibly just 4 cruisers. Maybe he's got some stealth escorts. No idea. So we're going to start moving up. Got my full fleet line abreast. Obviously spaced out so they can't, multiple ships can't be hit with one Nova Cannon shot, and also don't want anything tucked in behind any other ships in case he fires off the Eye of the Omnissiah and causes a traffic jam. So the enemy is moving down the map, which I like to see with the Arc Mechanica, with the Adeptus Mechanicus. I don't like it when some players will just sit in camp and wait for you to come to them, which just gives them less room to manoeuvre when you do finally get on top of them. So from that one blip, that did loop. Was that a light cruiser on the right hand side there? I think so. So we've got a bunch of craft coming out. Not quite sure what he sent. Let's put a couple of fighters of my own out, either to intercept or hopefully we'll get the bypass, and then we'll be able to see what ships he has. Here comes the first of the Nova Cannons. Okay, it was just bombers, that's good. So we'll be able to murder them nice and easily. And another couple of Nova Cannon shots, 3 more. Okay, so he does have, so it's 4 cruisers plus the Arc Mechanicus. So with the spread out shots, he didn't really do the damage. I mean, he probably could have seriously crippled or even killed 3 of the escorts there if he'd bunched those shots up a little more. And of course, because he was firing at my escorts, then he's not firing at the real threat, which is literally every fucking other thing that I have. So the battleships are on top of him, starting to get rams off. Yeah, that's pretty much it. couple of cheeky rams there from the hammers. So I am still using the hammer cruisers for my my secondary ships, just because when I get into a situation where I do encounter a lot of ordnance heavy fleets, such as, well, Tau in particular, or boarding torpedo space marines, it's nice to have that the extra stack of fighters on each craft. So he's not even making that attempt to get away at this point. I think he's just, I don't know, setting him for a brawl. It's probably not. He's probably quite a new player. There are quite a few new guys going about at the moment. Okay, now he's found his move key. Bit late though, unfortunately. Oh, gorgeous rams. Gorgeous rams. So that was a ram into the low health ship, and then a tractor assisted shit pile with the remainder of his fleet. Trying to get away. He's well just let him.
Accumulated 50% of strategic points.
So that was kind of a boring game. Bit of a wasted pick putting the overload shields on the flagship, but I mean you've got to assume. Yeah, oh god, it was probably his first game. Apologies. Okay, on to the next one, and this time we are playing Nico 135, who is going to be flying the Asuryiani. As you can see in the start of the game there, he pretty much said, "Oh no," which is fair enough, because I mean Asuryiani versus Orcs is not a great matchup for them. On a map where you can potentially kite around and capture points, try and force me to split up, then they can make it work. But on a map like this, where there's a pretty nice and tight triangle in the center of the map, that bullshit's not really going to cut it. I think, like, I find that with the Asuryiani, the fleets that do the best nowadays are probably double. Shit, what they called? Is it the Phoenix ship? The battlecruiser one. Because they're actually very, very tanky. If they can keep their holofield up, and they're just sort of kiting you away, it takes a very long time to kill them. And so if you use one ship just to try and bait the bulk of the fleet away, then you can do some good work with the rest of them. But yeah, as I said before, I mean, like the best way for Asuryiani to beat this kind of fleet that I have is to try and split it up, and then normally with Orcs what you want to do is target the flagship first, but with Asuryiani you want to stay as far the fuck away from the flagship as possible. Because if you go anywhere near it, you're going to get tractored, and if you get tractored, you're fucking dead. That tractor goes off and cancels your Wraithbone shift. That's it. That's that ship pulled in, and there's absolutely nothing they can do to stop it from being ground down and killed. And so you just rinse and repeat. And so with Asuryiani versus Orcs, you just want to try and separate and then pick off any ship that is not the flagship, and just maintain distance from the flagship to prevent that tractor from coming into play. So I've just put one escort on the two right hand points. I've got a group of them coming up to capture that left middle point, just in case this does turn into a cap game. But looks like he is going to try and fight. That's pay. I was trying to grab the trying to grab the flagship, but he got away just in time.
The strategic area.
I fought this guy a bunch before, so yeah, he knows what's up, he knows what's coming. It does unfortunately get me caught in the Tempest or Eldritch Storm, whatever it's called. So, eat a couple of torpedoes there. Unfortunately, I missed with the ram, that's kind of annoying. Just going to drop a couple of boarding actions off. Going to eat some more torps. Just face tank that with one of the battleships. Tractor cannons up again in 8 seconds. And he's just used his Wraithbone shift to park himself in front of me. I don't know, and now he's stopped, let his hollow field go down, so that's, yeah, I don't think I agree with that. So I'm just going to rally to get my one of my terrors back online. There we go, it's going to shove the flagship into one of my own battleships, and that gets me a nice double ram there. Now I do have generators targeted on all these ships, which is what you should always do as orcs against asuryiani. I mean, you could certainly make an argument for try to take out weapons or engines, but with the engines they've got kind of backups, and like it does reduce their mobility a little bit, but it doesn't quite cripple you to the extent that a damaged engine does with you know, Imperial or Chaos, or certainly Orcs in particular, their ships. So the enemy boosted into the cloud there, where I had my escort waiting. So I think between the long range fire from my 2 terrors and the rapid fire of this escort. Ah, got a nice little ram off on the other ship too. So I mean, yeah, this game, yes, he allowed himself to get too close, and it's going to drop another boarding action off on him. Yeah, he allowed himself to get too close, particularly like say 2D flagship, which just allowed me to bully him with my movement control abilities, a combination of the stasis bubble and tractor, which is just completely deadly to the asuryiani. I mean, they've got better armour than the other Eldar, but it's still, you know, pretty paltry. And once the generator goes, yeah, their goose pretty well cooked. So it looks like we've got a light cruiser here. I don't know if he's going to bother trying to engage any further, is he? Maybe we're going to try and get another torp volley off. Going for a glorious ram. Good man, very, very orky of him. Alright, well, brutal but fun. Yeah. Yeah, that's orcs in a nutshell. Asuryiani were one of the first. They were one of the first races that I played quite a lot in this game. I actually really quite enjoyed them. But yeah, I found like the more I played it, I just found them quite limited. And if you played certain factions, then it was kind of an auto lose. I think back when I was playing, it was the meta was still all torpedo cruiser fleets, which was back when they had they still had before they started fucking around with the number of charges that the torpedoes had. Used to be just absolutely devastate ships. If you got multiple torpedo volleys off, you could like pretty much one-hit battleships with them. It was crazy. They're still pretty good. Okay, and for this third game we have got Cameron Price 9, who is going to be flying the Adeptus Astartes. Astartes, I'm not hugely worried about. Again, we've got a map where kiting around the points isn't going to be really viable, because you've got a nice 3-point triangle there right in the centre of the map again, quite similar to the last map. Reasonable amount of cover nearby as well, so I can obviously duck in there and hide if needs be. If my cruisers get taken out and I need to fend off enemy ordnance or boarding torpedoes, that gives me the option. I think the this particular fleet with the battleships can handle a brawl with Space Marines pretty easily. When I'm flying my cruiser battlecruiser fleets with the Blood Axe's commander training upgrade, not so much. It's fine if the enemy separates and you get the chance to jump on them, but if you end up in a fleet on fleet engagement, then it doesn't necessarily go so well for you. It's a bit better with the more hammer centric fleet I've been using recently. But yeah, I think I had a couple of games where I came up against Astartes just using my 6 terror fleet with escorts, and that was pretty painful. I think I copped a couple of losses that way. So I think the enemy was... I think those fighters are coming from my escort. No sign of any boarding torpedoes yet.
You have seized a strategic
But I don't think he's spotted me yet. Ever since Lances got buffed, you do see a lot more Lance heavy Space Marine fleets. A combination of the Lance battle barge and the Lance, I think it's the Mark III strike cruisers. The Lances. Which are okay. I mean, like, they do a decent amount of damage. But, I don't know, I don't think it's really playing to the Space Marine strength. I think I'd rather be broadside engaging with the Space Marines, being able to get off more boarding actions, and then just firing the bombardment cannons, rather than being forced to use a forward-facing lance as your kind of primary damage. But I suppose it depends what you're playing. If you're playing Space Marines and then you're playing something which you're going to have to chase down, then yeah, sure, having a decent forward-firing weapon like that can be quite good. And it's not dodgeable like bombardment cannons and other other projectile-based weapons are. So, what do we got here then? It's a battle barge and a couple of strike cruisers. Or no, is that battle barge? No, one battle barge, strike cruiser, light cruiser. So, looks like they're splitting, so I'm going to engage the battle barge with my battleship squadron. I'm still sitting on brace for impact at the moment, so anticipating some kind of heavy ordnance coming out of that ship. So we can get the 2 terrors onto those other 2 ships. That should be more than the match for it. Just going to drop a bunch of boarding actions on here, try and get some critical damage. With the battle barge, I've got the generator targeted. Looks like it's already gone into yellow damage. Because it takes long enough to chew through a battle barge's HP as it is without having to deal with a shield popping back up again every few seconds. Okay, so we've dragged that other strike cruiser in. Looks like we've got engine crit on the strike cruiser over here. That's good. Won't be able to run away. Starting to do some nice damage to the battle barge now. It doesn't seem like I'm going to be facing heavy torpedo hits, so I'm just going to swap back over into lock-on mode now with the battleship squadrons, do a bit more crit damage, could be a bit more accuracy. I mean, as I mentioned in previous videos with orcs, I mean, you think of lock-on as being a trade-off against trade-off of well, do you go lock on and get more accuracy and range, or do you go for reload to get more DPM? But of course, with orcs, they're so inaccurate that I mean, I haven't crunched the numbers, but you know, from having played quite a few orc games, I'm more than certain that the DPM increase you get from being in lock on, just from having your shots land more often and to a longer range, is more beneficial than being in reload stance. And unless you're stuck into a real knife fight, you know, where you're just rubbing up against a bunch of croup spheres or maybe Necron ships. But then with Necron ships, you don't really want to go into a reload, because then they can just teleport away. And if they teleport outside of 9k, then you're screwed and you can't hit them. So I've got to say, this strike cruiser and light cruiser combo over on the left hand side here have done remarkably well. Unfortunately, I've lost the mega cannon on one of my cruisers. Let's do a bit of a ram there. Oh, I think the bollocks that up. Yep. Have I missed? Am I going to clip him? No. But I didn't clip my other ship either, so that's a small mercy. Regardless though, that ship's going down. Battle barge is dead, so that just leaves this one light cruiser, who's gamely trying to get some ordnance off. I think this is quite a new player as well. In fact, from the look of his fleet, it might even be this might be one of the computer generated ones. Let's go for disengage with that one ship. I'm just gonna just get one more explosion. Oof, there we go. So that was some, I don't know, pretty uninspired games, to be honest. Hopefully we'll try and find some more veteran players for the next set. I have been seeing some old faces coming back on again, so that's good. But yeah, level 3. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.